What's up, guys? Pokemon Juju here, and we are live from collectacon Long Beach. It is Saturday morning. With me today is
Pokesol,
Bulba, and we got a little special treat today. We got the autograph master himself, Aestheticchimp, as his Instagram name, or his name is Cole. Cole, welcome with us, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here, guys.
I'm so stoked to have you, man. So let's just get right into it, man. You're kind of like known for your autograph expertise and your vast collection of autographs. So basically, we want to pick your mind on autographs and give us a little insight into that world. So
I just looked at the table.
Shit. So kind of explain to us like when you got into collecting, first off with Pokemon and your kind of backstory with collecting.
Yeah, so I started collecting back in like base set. I had an older sister. She collected cards, and I was given her collection when she grew out of Pokemon, and she regrets that now because it was a really good collection, and that like is the foundation of my collection now.
Sorry, sister.
Yeah. I tossed her a couple $100 and it all worked out.
There you go.
For one card.
Yeah.
a couple $100 that's turned into, I'm pretty sure, thousands.
Yeah, it was a complete base set, first edition Fossil and Jungle.
Nice.
I think the lowest grade we got was an 8.5 in CGC.
Holy
Nice.
crap.
Yeah, it was great. Good for me, bad for her. It all works out.
So if you're watching this,
So was this when you were kids, or just recently you bought it off her?
She gave it to me when she was younger, and then we ended up finding it in our parents' basement.
Okay.
And you're like, that's mine. You gave it to me, remember?
I came back from deployment because I was stationed out in 5th Fleet, and we came back, and that was when like the big Pokemon boom happened. I was like, I wonder if we can find the old cards. We went down and looked at all the boxes, maybe.
That's cool, awesome, man. Thanks for your service.
Thanks for your support, man. So I continued in. My goal was always to kind of trade up, sell my way up to higher end stuff. And I ended up going through into the Gold Stars next after going through set cards because they were a little bit more exclusive. And then after that, I finished like 80% of the set, and then I realized that I don't actually care about most of the cards. And I was like, I'm just completing the set just because like I feel like I should, and that didn't really make any sense.
Like you've already started it, you gotta go.
Exactly, but then I ended up just selling them and buying autographs instead.
Okay.
And so basically, I have a background in design, in art. I'm a really big fan of collecting artworks, signed prints, things like that.
Okay.
And so for me, the transition into signed Pokemon cards was just kind of natural.
Right.
I really appreciate the artwork that the illustrators do, and you kind of get that like really good close personal collection connection with the illustrators because you know that they actually touch this card.
Right.
Instead
exactly.
of just cool, I like bought the card and that supports the company, but purchasing the autograph like feels a little more intimate.
So how many artists have you met in your life?
I have not met very many artists. I didn't get into autographs until like 2019.
Kind of like when they're like, we're not signing anything for a while.
Exactly. Yeah. And so with a lot of illustrators as well, like I wasn't into Pokemon when they stopped signing.
Yeah.
So like Sugimori hasn't signed since 2007 Worlds.
Oh, damn.
Himeno's last major signing there was like a private signing back in 2019 that a couple people went to, but before that it was like 2006 Worlds. And so it's...
Now for him, is it more like, because I know, like, so I met Rita in 2018 in Dallas, and I got like 50-something cards signed by him and had a really good experience. But I know as the time went on, like, you weren't allowed to get doodles anymore, and you weren't allowed to get personalization. So what affected that, and why did that kind of start happening?
So that's kind of always been a thing with Pokemon Company. The Japanese intellectual property laws is such that the drawing of Charizard is owned by Pokemon. So like this card technically
Let's show the camera real quick.
is owned by Pokemon Company based on Japanese intellectual property law because it's a drawing of Charizard.
So this is a authentic Mitsuhito Arita signed and doodled Evolutions Charizard. Absolutely beautiful.
So are we not supposed to have those technically?
It's something that you're allowed to have, but the Pokemon Company, based on Japanese law, could technically like
they're gonna invade us just to pick up a card.
Yeah,
They're not coming to my house, that's for sure.
but it's just a big culture difference, I think.
It's like based in respect, really.
Yeah, and I know a lot of Japanese artists don't like people making money off their autograph. It's kind of a disrespect thing in that culture, which I definitely understand. And Pokemon Company doesn't allow their direct employees to sign cards anymore. So Sugimori is an actual employee, whereas Arita is more of like a contractor. So he's able to go to all these signing events because his contracts end up being a little bit different.
A little more liquid.
Yeah, and then talking with Jeremy Pokeswole, I was on a podcast with him last week, and we were talking about it, and he said that each of the artists have like different handlers, so they end up kind of getting different guidance on how they need to approach autographs.
We're going to have
events.
Jeremy on actually a little bit as well, so that's pretty cool.
He has a better mustache than I do.
It's the summer of the stash right now.
It is.
I went and got mine trimmed, and she's like, "Oh, you going for a French style?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I left, and I looked like fucking Pepe Le Pew, and I was like, "Oh, come on, dude." Oh, there's my first curse word for the day.
So like the whole thing with like Arita not being able to do his like a signature alone. Like why? Like can you like confirm why that is? Like would you know?
Officially, no. My estimation would just be that the Pokemon Company doesn't want people to continue to make money off of
right. That's what I figured.
They're not getting any bite of that freaking market right now.
No, yeah.
So
I just wanted to, maybe if someone else had a little bit more insight on it, But
Jeremy
that's
kind of talk more on that than I would.
Okay.
But it's like now you have to get them personalized too.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get around that like by doing Japanese personalizations because
no one's gonna know what that means.
Yeah, it says that one says Fernando.
This means graciousness right here.
but since it's in kanji, people don't know the difference, and so it's personalized. But it's different than like if I said, to collector. Right.
I've seen people write to Ash.
Yeah, it feels weird to me. I
don't like the
personalization. It's a part of it, and if I'm going to have one, I'd much rather be in kanji than English.
So on the table, I'm seeing a bunch of different names. So what do you got right here for today to show us a little bit of?
So I kind of brought you the whole buffet here. So we have Sugimori signed Lucario reverse holo. That is actually the card that got me into autograph cards.
Yeah.
There's an E4 forum post about Sugimori's different signature styles. And in that post, Scott posted a picture of that card being signed, like at the event in 2007 Worlds.
Oh, dang.
As an example of what his autograph looks like. And so getting the opportunity to purchase that one was just kind of surreal to me because that was my first really experience with autographed cards. And it kind of just naturally came down the line eventually that I was able to acquire it.
That's a goal for me is to get a Ken signature sometime in the future.
Oh, yeah?
I wish I would have. I had the opportunity, 7-8 years ago, and I slept on it because I'm obsessed with this Aritas. You're the one that was like, you need to diversify your bonds, bro. So, I'm trying to get into more. I love this freaking Gold Star.
I know.
Can we talk about that
God.
right there? That Fukuda?
Yeah, it's a little bit controversial, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so fun story behind it. So Fukuda only signed with personalizations at that event. That was signed, would have been 2020 or 2016. I don't even remember when it was signed. But he only signed with personalizations. And that card obviously doesn't have one because the person who got it signed went back and removed the personalization from it.
Oh, really?
So he removed the Sharpie. Yeah, you can actually see like on the
I can't now
top
that you pointed it out.
There's like a little smudge up there because they kind of like nicked the ear while they were taking it off.
Oh, yeah.
But it is currently the only non-personalized.
Dude, that's crazy.
In quotes.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty dope, though. I mean, nonetheless.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I wouldn't have the guts to try to take a personalization off of a card, but
yeah,
they did a decent job though. They didn't ruin the card stock.
Yeah.
And then you got, a nice little Pikachu right here. You want to show that off?
Yeah, I actually got this from Brown Eyes Yellow Dragon. Just in time. Saito's actually coming. He's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland for regionals. He's going to be signing. So we're probably going to see a big flood of his autograph in the
So how does that affect the market?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it. So Tokia just signed for the first time in the United States ever a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And those autograph prices are very, very strong. But it is a brand new market. At this point, there's not really a ton of data on how much these signings affect prices because we haven't seen any signings recently. And autographs have really blown up in value over the past year or two.
Yeah.
So if you look back, you can even look on PWCC's price history from 2019 and you'll see Sugimori autographs going for less than $1,000, where now you're not going to find anything under $6.
No, not at all.
Maybe with
Holy shit.
I had the only sold signed card that I sold that I really graded. I had a Mint 9 Auto 10 Charizard that I pulled myself with a base pack. signed just like this, doodled, and I let it go for like $4,000, maybe 2020. And I like regret it because it was sold for like 13,000 like a few weeks after, and I was like, dude, come on. I sold it to Ryan's Card House, so I'm gonna find that card again. It was on eBay for a while, and then now it's like in someone's personal collection. So that's like the one card, one signature that I let go that I regret.
That's been one of the interesting things about autographs. Like everybody has a really strong, like they think they're cool. Like when I come to conventions and I show them off, because I have an inventory of autographs in our personal collection, which is basically what this is, and then I also have some that I'm willing to sell or trade.
Kind of like revolving.
And those are like, they're really difficult to move at conventions because everybody's convinced that they're difficult to sell. I've sold probably 40 or 50 autographs in the past fiscal year.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're difficult to
Not
move.
at all.
But
Even later or a few years ago, they were.
yeah, it's just like, it's a weird niche, I think, for a lot of people to try to get into that is interesting, but then you kind of tell them the price tag and they're like, no, never mind, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like I always say, it's like a beauty in the eye of the beholder. Like one person will like, no, it's not worth it, and someone's like, I'll pay whatever you want for that card, you know. So a question I have for you is, who is the most, like, as far as signings, and I already feel like I already know the answer, who's going to be like the most valuable or artist, and then the least valuable signature, and I guess tell us why.
Of actual illustrators?
Yeah.
Okay. So most valuable will probably be Nishida, just because of her rarity.
Okay.
So that's this one.
Okay.
She did two signing events. They were both very private. It was just for a couple guys out in Japan. The first one, she signed 12 cards, non-personalized. And then the second event, she signed probably another 30 to 35. So in total, there are less than 50 copies of her autograph available. She's never done a public signing.
Holy shit.
She doesn't have an intention to do it anymore.
And that's that one that you have.
Yeah, so that's one of the 12. I've actually owned I've owned 3 out of the 12 at this point.
Have you owned them all at one time?
I was like buying one while selling the other. It was like I sold one and I was like, oh no, I need it back, and then I would go buy another one.
Gotcha.
And then for the least, would you say it's what, Arita? Just because of the population of those, or?
Of any like established artists, yeah. We've seen some lower prices on some of the Tokia autographs that just came out over the past couple months, but that was just because like there's a big massive influx. In terms of average value, Arita's is definitely the lowest.
Well, like there's, I'll speak on personal experience. I got 50 signed, at events. So imagine how many people were able to get that. So the population for Rita's got to be ridiculous.
Yeah. I think like you can actually even just go and look at, like on eBay, look up any illustrator, and Rita's going to have 100 listings at any given time of autographs where there's never been a public sale of a Nishida. There's probably 2 or 3 Sugamoris available on eBay right now. There's a few up on PWCC, but it's interesting that if you take every other major illustrator and all of their sales and listings combined, they still don't total the same as Arita's. So he has more autograph listings currently on eBay than everybody else combined.
Jeez.
Holy crap.
Well, it goes to show you, he's just
out there whipping it out.
So we usually end these interviews with like, plugging yourself.
Hey,
you got
one thing before.
Oh, sorry.
I see all these things are in graded guards.
Oh.
And we didn't plug in our plug in our sponsors.
I keep thinking that Jason Page is going to start singing any minute now, so I'm like,
Hey, he can go anytime, bro.
You know what? You're right. As always, this episode is sponsored by GradedGuard. That's GradedGuard for all your protection slab needs. Use code Unweighed for 20% off. Zion slab cases, the OG original slab case designer. Use code Unweighed for 10% off your total sales on them. And then we're going to check out the thickest displays in the game. That's Phantom display cases, Aussie made by hand. Use the same code for 15% off. And then our local sponsor, San Antonio House of Cards, use code Unweighed for 10% off their website. So so you got anything? I know you've been doing box breaks and things like that. So you got anything you want to plug that's coming up anytime soon?
I will just say, strangely enough, I have a Zion case and I have GradedGuard, even though I'm not sponsored by them. They just happen to be good products.
They're amazing products. They go hand in hand.
Actually, I use my GradedGuards differently than everybody else, though, because they use them all as phone cases where the screen part's on the back.
So you use them like I use them.
I put the plastic on the front.
That's what I do.
Yeah, they do. I don't. I do it the other way.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
No, I do it the other way.
It says it's both ways, but he's coming out. Well, Min's going to be coming out with something to eliminate that product. So we'll see about that.
We can't speak on that.
What's your favorite signature that you own?
That one.
It does have to be the signed Rayquaza Gold Star because it's just so special. But this Arita,
Yeah, I was trying to see where's the signature.
It's up there. I couldn't see it at first.
One of those signed.
But this is my favorite Mewtwo card.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a big fan of Arita, and so to get it signed in a Mint 9 Auto 9 was...
When I went and met Arita, I had like a whole collection of like fresh Sharpies. And so like each time he signed a card, I was like, oh, this is gonna sound crazy, but I want you to use a new Sharpie for each one. So I got this signed with like a super nice, like it's like holographic. But I love that card. It's sick.
Most of the versions of that signed, it goes over the text.
Yeah.
It's difficult to read.
Yeah.
And so when I found that one, I actually sold. I used to have another copy of it signed, and I sold that, and I regretted it. And I couldn't find another one for sale. And then eventually that one popped up, and like, oh, that placement is perfect on the autograph. Like I have to have this one. And then he sold it to me for less than I sold mine. So I was like, okay, fantastic.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you have a beautiful collection. It was awesome talking to you. Again, do you have any box breaks coming up?
No box breaks, but we are. So my main thing is just getting data out available to everybody. So on my Instagram at Aestheticchimp, we put out some like price data, how many sales there have been, things like that.
Yeah.
And we are doing an entire write-up, like kind of blog post right now. It's probably gonna have to be split up into like 5 different blog posts just because there's so much information.
Yeah.
But breaking down how to go about valuing everything because it's very difficult. You can't just. It's not like comps. Like you don't have like. You might be able to with like a signed Charizard because there's 215 of them.
Yeah.
But it's much more difficult otherwise. We've been doing some crazy math, trying to figure out some numbers on how to actually value some stuff and trying to get that out into the public.
So can we talk a little bit about that before we end? Like, what goes into that? What goes into like figuring out how to like price these things out?
So I sat down and went through all eBay listings over the past, at this point, 6 months, and then everything on PWCC, Heritage, and Golden since June of 2021. And I went through who the illustrator was, what the card was, what the condition of the card was, whether or not there was a sketch, and if it was personalized. And then took all that in SPSS, did some regression analysis, did some just basic statistics to figure out like how various different things impact it.
Right.
There was only enough information, only enough data points to use Arita to actually get like a good model. But taking into account all those different factors I talked about, and then also like a more subjective, like 1 to 10 scale of how desirable a card is, we can account for about 78% of like the variability in a price. So basically, I can give you for an Arita card, like give or take 20%. A pretty good estimate of what it's going to sell for.
Right.
And the goal is eventually to get those data points for everything. It's just some of it's so rare. Like we're never going to get there with Nishida because there's just not enough cards signed.
Right.
But with other illustrators, we're getting more sales, more things are coming out. The autograph market is really booming right now. We've seen some amazing pieces. There was just the public sale record last week on PWCC for a signed Dark Charizard that went for $13,000.
Wow.
Holy crap.
There have been private sales of autographs.
I'll give you some of my private sales data here, and so you can add that to the thing.
But I mean, some of them are already in 6 digits on like some of the super high-end cards, and we've seen $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 valuations on some of it, and so it's a very difficult market to kind of break. We can't just use like price charting or TCG Player to figure out.
Yeah.
Close. But even eBay is not even gonna help sometimes. It's like there's like. For me, it's like I have a Dark Sizor that I got signed and doodled, and there's technically the Pop 2, but the other one's not doodled, so it's like, how do you justify the price difference in those? So that's a crazy, notion to think about. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and someone's going to pay what they want to pay.
And we definitely see that a lot. There was actually a Himeno autograph that just broke the record for her signed card record, although there's like another thing that she signed that sold for a little bit higher. But the reason it sold so high was because Quichancy was bidding on it, Brown Eyes Yellow Dragon was bidding on it, and then also this other guy out in Australia that I know who's getting into autographs heavily, he like reached out to me the week of the auction. He's like, hey, is Himeno's autograph worth anything? I was like, oh yeah, this is a really good card.
Yes, it is.
And then it turned into the highest public sale because we had just 3 massive people all bidding on it.
What did you go for?
I went for $6,600.
That's awesome.
Damn.
Well, shoot, dude, I appreciate all the knowledge, and it was amazing talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
I look
guys.
forward to having more conversation with you in the DMs.
cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, thanks for coming by. Appreciate
guys.
you.
I appreciate it.
Man. Yeah.
Bye.
Later, guys.